guys, and welcome to a new update of the Artist Way project. So this is for day 21st of September. It's actually 21 day. So that's kind of the conclusion of week 3. But because I haven't shown you all the exercise in this video, I'm going to talk about the exercise, the end of the exercise that I did in the Artist Way. And tomorrow I will have my check-in. And the day after I will have the chapter introduction for chapter 4. So this morning, day 21, I did my artist morning pages. I did 4 pages. I was kind of inspired, so I just did 4 pages. And then I decided to start on the affirmations again, not in the way it's done in the book. Once again, I'm not going to have this God-related, gratefulness-oriented, positivity-oriented, like in the chapter 1. I'm not going to have the affirmation in chapter 1 because I don't align with them and they don't work for me. So instead, I have been doing some research about affirmations, and I came across a few videos, and basically those videos taught me how to reprogram your subconscious. So one of the reason you would want to do affirmation is because what you want, what you consciously want, doesn't align with your subconscious. And that's something when I was reading Bad Witch. You have Caroline Elliott, who is one of the main writers, because that's her website there, and she was explaining that she had this whole period where she was really poor because she had unconsciously a want for scarcity. And then she reprogrammed herself with work to align what she wanted consciously, which means have wealth and be okay like everyone, and the sort of scarcity that was in her unconscious. And so I remember that I read that some time ago, and it's kind of shadow integration that she's talking about, but it's so I find tool online like actualize.org. Again, that's a website I really like, has some videos about affirmation, and affirmation is actually a tool you can use to create that link between what you consciously want and change what you unconsciously want. And the way it explains it is whatever you unconsciously want is what you're going to strive for, because it's like brushing your teeth. You're doing mechanically, you're not thinking of every teeth and how you turn your toothbrush and if you need more water or whatever, you just do it without thinking with a prefrontal cortex about it. Because it's unconscious process. When I move my hand here, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm going to move my hands in that way while I'm talking to you. No, I just do it unconsciously. And that's what you need to reprogram, the unconscious mind that has this, that is doing those things that you were programmed for. And the way it works is like dog training. So you basically have to dog train you. How do you train a dog? Is you repeat and repeat and repeat the same thing, and it's going to make the dog sit down. He sits down, he got a treat. He doesn't sit down, he doesn't get a treat. At some point, he's going to remember, oh, if I sit down, when she says sit, I'm gonna get a treat. So he's gonna sit. And then even if you don't give the treat every time, it's going to remember that mechanism, so every time you say sit, it's going to sit, unconsciously. And technically, that's what you have to do with yourself. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but apparently it works, so that's what I'm doing now. So I have this one sentence about something I want to become. So you have to write it in present, and it needs to be a positive statement. So whatever it is, as an example in the video I was watching was, I am a millionaire. So present tense, I am. And if you say I am, it's kind of you need to use I am if you really want to have better chances, because I am kind of reprogram your identity. So if you want to be a writer, you can say I am a writer, or I am a best-selling author. It needs to be a short statement that you can repeat and repeat and repeat all the time. And it needs to be positive because your consciousness, your unconscious doesn't understand negative. So if you say, I'm not fat, it's going to understand I'm fat. It doesn't take the negative. So if you want to be skinnier, you have to say I am skinny. So you always have to make the positive statement. And it's kind of funny because when you're a writer and you write your book and you send it to the editor, and the editor is going to tell you, oh, this is a negative statement, it would be more powerful if you put it as a positive. I had this happening to me several times recently with Demon Soul, so my editor did that, and then I changed. And it's true that it was more powerful when I changed it to positive. So technically I'm doing the affirmation in that way. Instead of using affirmation about some crazy esoteric creativity with like big sentence about I read them at the beginning in previous video, but anyway, instead of that I'm just having my one sentence. And actually today I decided I'm going to have two, because I want to be author. Like, I already have books out, but I want to be like able to get money from my books. So that's my statement. My statement is I am a bestseller author. And the second statement is about piano, because it's something that I have been wanting forever. So the second statement is I am a pianist. And basically I'm trying to reprogram my identity, and they say that you need to do it for at least 30 days, so it's like a month. And if you have more resistance, you have to do it longer. So this is like day 2, so I haven't seen any real things happening yet. I haven't met any resistance either. I was talking about the thing is, you have to do it for 5 minutes in a row, morning and night. Repeat that statement in your head. I'm also writing it after my morning page, and I'm also like using that statement during my off time. So basically I was on the bicycle, I stopped at the red light, and I was doing my affirmation. I am a best-selling author. I am a best-selling author, like again and again and again. And I don't know if it's supposed to work. Apparently it worked for other people, but I need to test it for myself to know if it's going to really work. So every day for 30 days, so that's 21st of October. So by 21st of October, normally I should be seeing a little bit of result. So let's make that a date, and by 22nd of October I will tell you how I feel about my affirmation again. Okay, then what I did today was the exercise from 7 until the end. So exercise 7 is like inner compass. You need to do 1 hour of art and see what you actually feel, what you actually get, like a sort of intuition. And I'm not really sure how it works. So I did my 1 hour like writing, and I didn't get any insight about things I should do or whatever, so I'm not sure what they are going through like that. What I know is, if I want to have wisdom or or inner compass thing, maybe like inside or intuitive thought, I would take a shower, especially during NaNoWriMo, which is going to come soon in November. I'll have a series about that. During NaNoWriMo, I have to write 2,500 words a day, because that's what I set for myself as my limit. And whenever I'm blocked, I would go to the shower thinking about my story, and take a shower while thinking about the story, and normally I would end up with a little thing that would help me progress. So that's the way I do it. So I don't know if that's the inner compass they actually talk about in this book, but that works. Also going for a walk also work. The problem is I used to go for a walk in the park that was near my house. I would take my bicycle, go there, go to the park, and then like maybe do doll pictures there, and that would actually get me insensitive to my stories that I'm writing at the moment, my novels, or maybe into like what I would do like for my videos or what I would do, like I also like paint dolls sometimes, so about that it would help me, or the sewing or all that kind of stuff. So I think that's probably what the inner compass is. So going for a walk in nature work, except here there is not much nature around. I could go to Weno Park, but I need to take the train, so it's a little bit troublesome. By the time I come back, I'll probably be dead tired anyway. So yeah, you can try this. I think nature is a very good way to turn on your intuition, especially if you're just alone there with a bird singing, or the cicadas. In Japan we have a lot of cicadas, and you breathe, like take a deep breath and relax, like kind of have a forceful relaxation on you, like you mentally decide that you're gonna relax. So that's how I would work about the inner compass and intuition. So then number 8. So number 8 was a very difficult question. Well, not a difficult question, but it's a list 5 people you admire. And I have known. And you're gonna say, why you have known? Everybody admires someone. But the thing is, I made a conscious decision once that I was not going to admire anyone. And the reason behind that is that I want to be self-sufficient in myself. I see a lot of people who are going to admire someone and put them on the pedestal so high that they can never be reached. It can be like soccer player. I have a family of soccer players. All my cousin, all men in my family on my mother's side, they all play soccer. My cousin, my brother, my uncles, everybody. And like they tend to put like these very good soccer players that play for the French football team, they put it there like as a pride guy, oh my god, he's so good, blah blah blah. And even if they try to reach that, but they still like, he's the best, nobody can be like that. And that's kind of a feeling that I decided I didn't want to have. I wanted, basically, if I see someone doing something good, instead of seeing that as talent or as something that is unreachable, I decided that I was going to investigate all the hard work that the person had put into doing what they're doing. So for example, if you take people like author who write books, at the moment I'm reading Tower of Dawn, which is Sarah J. Maas. And there was a little story that the first book, I think it's Assassin Blade, maybe, it was 2 or 3 times longer than it actually is published, because she was rejected and she had to completely transform the book and completely rewrite the book and work on it to make it good enough to get a publisher. Same with J.K. Rowling. She, everybody thinks, oh, she's so talented, she's so perfect, she's so everything. But when you look in detail, she has been rejected multiple times before Harry Potter came out. She was poor and she worked her way up. So I think that's people you can admire, but I decided not to, because I want to keep into perspective that all the work they did step by step is doable for me or for anyone. Basically, there is a say that I really like from a website called All Japanese All the Time. It says, if there is a human being who can do it, you can do it too. And once you actually get to that point where you actually decide that if someone can do it, you can do it too, you reach this pattern of thought where you are actually going to work for what you're getting, and you are actually going to not see the person as this bright shining star that you cannot become, but you're going to see the pathway that you can take to actually reach the same level. And I'm not saying I'm going to be J.K. Rowling or Sarah J. Maas or a famous soccer player or even a wonderful pianist. I'm just saying that it's a possibility that if you put enough work, you can also reach that. And instead of admiring people, I decided that I would admire the hard work, the journey. I'm not admiring people for their talent. I'm admiring people for how much they work to get there. I'm admiring the process and the achievement that comes from that. So that's why I don't have 5 people I admire. So that's point 8, like exercise 8. So for exercise 9, they say you need to make a list of people you would like to meet, and they are there, so you count. So I have Einstein, Rimbaud, which is a French poet, if you don't know, Napoleon, Conan Doyle, and Agatha Christie. And you need to compare both lists and see what they have in common. And so since I don't have anyone on the first list, I have to compare. And Einstein, basically, he was not so well off at first because the thing he was teaching at university wasn't particularly loved. So he didn't have that much notoriety. And then he kept working and he created like relativity. And he also put up some like cornerstone for quantum mechanics, even though he hates quantum mechanics, but some of what he did kind of linked to quantum mechanics. So and the thing that I think is very extraordinary about Einstein is that he created things that come out of his own mind only. It's like the relativity theory is some way of seeing the world in a very different manner, and especially have a concept of time that is very different than everyday life. And it does make sense when you learn it, but to come up with that when you don't know it exists at first is something very remarkable. So the way he found that idea is something that I would like to talk to him about if he was still there. Same with Newton. If you look at Newton, who invented classical mechanics, and he had to invent the math tools to actually describe classical mechanics. I think that's a prodigious artistic way of looking at the world, even though it's science. There is a lot of art in science too, even though people have a tendency to separate them. So technically, I would like to talk to people who have that way of seeing things differently, because if you look at the world around, it's a very rare thing to be able to analyze the world in a different manner. First you analyze it the way you are taught, then you analyze it the way you think it's best for you, then you analyze it against your own beliefs, and generally it makes people see everything like in a box. You don't really see what's outside. You're going to focus on what you know and analyze everything through that little lens. But basically there is a complete world all around you, and that's why every time someone advances an idea, you have to acknowledge it and like reorganize it according to what you know, and see if your own system believes it's wrong or if it's that idea that is wrong. You cannot just go and say no, it's wrong. It's just like open your mind and like acknowledge that that possibility exists and that you can use it. So that's why Einstein. Arthur Rimbaud is because when I was a kid I was obsessed with Rimbaud. I always been I don't like poetry. I think poetry is like not something I enjoy, not something that I can understand. I don't see, like some people read and see the pretty picture in poetry, or the pretty, like if words sounds good together it works for me, otherwise no. But Rimbaud is the one poet that I actually like, because I don't know, I read him at a time where it actually made sense to me, because I was the same age that when he wrote what he wrote, and so it's someone I always wanted to meet. Another reason why I wanted to meet him is because he didn't give a fuck about anyone or anything, and he knew his own value, what he was worth, and he would ask for it. He wouldn't go by, oh maybe blah blah blah, oh I'm not good enough and all of that. No, he was just straight away deep into it, and he would know his own worth, and I think that's something of value that we could talk about. Then Napoleon, and Napoleon is maybe special because he came from nothing and he built an empire. And you could say the same about Jules Caesar or Genghis Khan, but I think Napoleon is very special because he came after the French Revolution. So basically, French people have discarded royalties, but they put an emperor instead. And because it was him, and that's a huge achievement, and I think he would have, like, how he did it is like a conversation I would love to have. Is like, how did you manage to change the mind of an entire country to have them accept a new form of royalty when they actually started to be like more like a republic? That's something that it's prodigious, and I think that's what it would be interesting to look at. Conan Doyle and Agatha Christie, I think that's a little bit of the same, because I love their stories. I've read like Sherlock Holmes, and I have read Hercule Poirot, Miss Marple, that kind of thing. They're some of my favorite authors, so I would like to maybe have some insight of their writing process if I met them. So I think what all those people have in common is like they created something that not everyone is able to create. They look at the world in a different way than everyone else, and they created their own path as a sort of like materialistic path, but it's also sort of spiritual. It's like they look around and they see something nobody sees, and that's something very special to me. So yeah, and then so that's point 9 and 10, guys. So that's going to be all for today. That's what I did for the artist way. There is a lot really, but to go through that, I'm going to give you the conclusion because this is a long video. So tomorrow I'll have the conclusion on the chapter I might check in. But to conclude today's video, I think it's a good detective work, this chapter. Like, it dives into your, but it dives only into the positive of your childhood, and I think it would be more worthwhile to actually dive into the negative, get it up, to know what you actually need to fix inside yourself. Like, dig up where your problem came. Like I put in, probably at the beginning of this chapter, I put a link to actualize.org about the vow you make as a kid, and how, like, so I sort of dig that up also. And I think it's more worthwhile if you want to feel good about yourself, do what they say in this chapter. But if you want to get rid of your hunger, and if you want to get rid of the shame feeling, you need to know where those feelings actually come from in the first place, and do some dig up. And that's the dig up that isn't in this chapter, and I think it would have been better to have some of negative dig up on top of those exercises to be able to really realize where your problem is coming from. So anyway, guys, that's all for today. Don't forget to give me your comment in the comments section below. Don't forget to give me a thumb up if you like this video, and to subscribe. I'm going to continue this for a while, I guess. So see you next time for something else, and have fun whatever you read. Bye!